Hey guys, ladies, how are you doing? I'm just getting some tech set up here. Let's see. Sometimes it's not that easy. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about emotional eating. So let me get this stuff set up here. I'm just trying to stream live on all the different platforms with my system here, but it doesn't always work. Oh, well, that's okay. Hopefully, I am live on our Facebook community. Let's see if we can do that. Sometimes you just don't know until you get there. But anyway, hopefully, you all had a great day yesterday, day one. I just did a brief overview, introduction of what we're doing. Here we go. A brief introduction and overview of what we're doing together this week. So it's kind of a journey of self-discovery, of self-reflection, and understanding really how sugar plays a role in your life. And sugar is not a bad thing. I just have to say that up front. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's a lovely thing to enjoy for a special treat or make memories, celebrations, vacations, bonding with friends and family. So it's all good. It's just when it gets to the point of negatively affecting your health and your body and, tooth decay, excess weight gain, blood sugar issues and control issues. So that's when it becomes a problem, or you're finding yourself dependent on it for emotional reasons and using it as a way to comfort yourself, soothe yourself, or numb those emotions that you might be feeling. So again, there's nothing inherently wrong with sugar. It's just how we use it, right? And or abuse it and how it can negatively affect your health. So that is that. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So let's go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're watching live or recorded, let me know your favorite thing that makes you really happy. So tell us that one thing that you could think of in the top of your mind that you really enjoy and makes you happy. So for me, so Cynthia Ray, my favorite things are enjoying a good cup of coffee. I love teaching. I love learning. I love the arts and music. So as a homeschooling mom, I like to take our kids out to theater shows or plays or live productions and see art and culture and all that stuff. So those are my favorite things. And maybe even drinking coffee while I do that would be really fun. So anyway, so comment below, let me know what your favorite thing is, what makes you really happy, what brings you joy. Also just spending time with family does that for me too. So, okay, so if you haven't watched it already, day one is available to rewatch in our Facebook community, on YouTube. Where else do I have it? In my Facebook page. But anyway, you can go over there and take a look and rewatch day one. You can comment as if you're watching it live, just like with this video too. All right, so if you're just tuning in, let me know what your favorite thing is, what just brings you joy each day. Okay, so how are you feeling after day one? Are you feeling accomplished? Do you feel like you're able to overcome big obstacles? Was it hard to do? How are you feeling after day one? So let me know also too if you got your groceries, if you're all set, and also if you're following the meal plan. Are you using the meal plan this week? Are you just kind of winging it and just taking sugar out of your diet for the week? Are you kind of picking and choosing different foods from the meal plan that you might like? So let me know what you are doing so we can get to know each other a little bit and what everybody's doing. So for me, I'm doing a little bit of both. I'm taking sugar out of my diet and then also adding in some recipes to help keep blood sugar low and keep it easy to keep cravings at bay. Okay, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and grab a copy of my 21-day Sugar Detox book. You can find it at 21dayswithoutsugar.com. It's all one. So number 2 and number 1, 21dayswithoutsugar.com. And if you're thinking about it, here's actually a copy of it. If you're thinking about it, we're going to be doing the whole 21 days together starting October 14th in a private group. So I'll be walking you all through that day to day and have a lot of accountability, community, coaching, all that fun stuff. Starting the 14th. I know that we're starting to this week with 5 days. So you already have 5 days under your belt, or you can do the 5 days this week, enjoy something sweet or a special treat over the weekend, and then jump back in with us on Monday for day one again for a full 21-day sugar detox. And then we're going to actually have a session time of 30 days. So even though we're only doing 21 sugar detox, we're going to have 30 days. That extra week is me teaching you how to reintroduce it back into your life and then helping you along that path. All right. So in this group yesterday, we were talking about the meal plan. We were talking about how it's going to work. I was teaching you about how cravings come up, what things are coming up in our life, whether it's emotional or physical, and then candida, and then what to expect from the detox and any detox symptoms. Also, let me know if you're experiencing any detox symptoms yet. It's kind of early on, but maybe by today or tomorrow, they might start cropping up for you, or any cravings, or maybe not. It really depends on each person and where you're starting at as far as sugar detoxing. So just a reminder, we are not having artificial sweeteners this week. Those also can affect blood sugar. So we're taking those out, and they're super, super sweet, like thousands of times more sweet than sugar. And it affects your brain in the same way and wakes up that dopamine and serotonin. It makes you crave it even more. So a lot of people I know I've met who are addicted to Diet Coke or diet soft drinks for that particular reason, or they feel like they're addicted. They need to have at least one or two every day or more, I guess. All right, so this week we are excluding wheat, sugar, dairy, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, processed foods, and white rice, just for this week, okay? However, you can include meats, healthy fats, veggies, one serving a day of low glycemic fruit, sweet potato, coffee, and tea are things that you can include. So meats, healthy fats, veggies, low glycemic, fruit, one serving a day, sweet potato, coffee, and tea, and also lots of avocado. In the 21-day sugar detox meal plan, there's lots of avocado, and hopefully you like it, because there's some really good recipes in there when we get to that point. All right, so it looks like some of you also downloaded the sugar alternative, sweet treat alternative list. So that's a great resource to have on hand. Maybe grab some of those items at the store. You might have them at home already. So also, too, a lot of times when you are craving sweets, it's not that you're hungry for that in particular, but it's usually a food monotony thing, where you've eaten a savory meal and all of a sudden now you're feeling like you want something sweet to kind of change up the flavor in your mouth. So in order to do that, you don't have to have something sweet per se. You can brush your teeth, wash your mouth out with some water, have some hot lemon water. You can do some coffee, some tea. I like to do dark chocolate and macadamia nuts, or dark chocolate and unsweetened peanut butter. So you can go to your sweet treat alternative list and see what options you have there too. So when you're feeling like you want something sweet at the end of a savory meal, there's other ways that you can break up that food monotony. Okay, so I've created that meal plan for you. If you don't know where to start, it's an easy place to start. Some supplements that you can take to speed up the detoxification process. Once you're detoxing, you're going to start notice toxins kind of rolling around your body. That's where those detox symptoms come from. So in order to speed up that elimination, there's a supplement that I like to recommend and take myself called glutathione. It's the master antioxidant in your liver, and it helps to flush out or clear out those toxins that are circulating after you release them from your cells, your fat cells. Also, what you can do too is, if you need extra help with reducing cravings, you can take 500 milligrams of L-glutamine. L-glutamine helps to blunt sugar cravings pretty quickly. Also magnesium. Magnesium can also be one of those things that you're deficient in that's causing sugar cravings. So taking extra magnesium glycinate once or twice a day would be really helpful. And also a B vitamin complex. Complex vitamin B is really great too for balancing mood. And we're going to talk about food and mood today, and emotional eating. So B complex, L-glutamate, glutamate, glutamate, 500 milligrams, usually in a capsule. You get them in a capsule and then put it under your tongue and let it sit there for a minute to help to stave off the sugar craving. So yeah, and then multi-B vitamins to help balance your mood too. Okay, so a lot of times we hear about dehydration could also be a trigger for hunger. And when you're feeling really hungry, the first thing you want to do is grab something sweet, because that's the quickest source of energy. So what you want to do instead is, throughout the day, drink plenty of water to stay ahead of the game, to stay well hydrated. Try getting at least 60 ounces of 60 ounces of water daily or more. Sometimes you can do up to 100, which is about a gallon of water, a little over 100. 60 ounces of water daily, especially in the first few days of a sugar detox, just to really get your body prepared. Maybe if you are dehydrated, if you're dehydrated, again, you can stay ahead of it and save off your sugar cravings. Okay, so we're going to be fasting sugar technically for the 5 days. However, we're not only fasting sugar, but we're also limiting the amount of carbohydrates, especially high glycemic ones, forcing your body to go within itself to tap into your carb storehouse. So your body stores carbohydrates in your muscles and in your organ systems, the general, but in your muscles and in your liver specifically. So if you, for example, have gone for a while without a meal, you're starting to feel a little bit low blood sugar, your body will tap into those stores, your liver specifically, and release that carbohydrate store, put it in your bloodstream for energy. If you're exercising and you need extra energy, your body will tap into your muscles during exercise for extra carbohydrate. Okay. So we also store extra carbohydrates in fat cells, in your eyes, in your joints, in your brain, like I said, in your liver, in your muscles. So that's also areas where toxins are stored. So you may also feel, if you've had any joint pain or brain fog or any eye issues, as we're relieving that storehouse of carbohydrates this week, you might start noticing decreased inflammation in your joints, decreased brain fog, maybe your vision's improving. There's some really amazing things that have happened to the ladies in my group so far that I was completely surprised about, but it all makes sense because of this principle of where these toxins are stored. All right, so the idea is to drain that storehouse and to release those toxins, and then also eliminate cravings at the same time. So essentially, we're going to be starving that harmful bacteria in your gut that live off of it, even especially that fungi candida that we hear a lot about these days, but really is important to keep at bay. Like I said yesterday, if you starve it, it will die. If you feed it, it will live. So just kind of use that this week as your sugar cravings crop up, and just know that just hold tight for a little bit longer and it's completely going to go away. Okay, so we're also compounding the fasting sugar with also some actual fasting, some intermittent fasting this week to give your healthy bacteria a chance to replenish in your intestinal system, to give your stomach and your digestive system a break, to clean everything out, and eating those healthy probiotic and prebiotic rich foods that are in the meal plan will help to give your gut a healthy reset. All right, let's go ahead and jump into how to combat emotional eating. So there's different levels of emotional eating, and you may not feel like this is really a thing for you. You may feel like, oh my gosh, this is something I've been dealing with for so long. I don't even know how to feel. I don't even know how to handle emotions without using food to comfort myself. So there's many different places on the spectrum that you might be as far as emotional eating might be, and you may not even realize that you are emotionally eating. So the truth is, ultimately, is that we don't need refined sugar for survival, right? We know that refined and processed sugar for survival will be completely fine. And many times, like I said before, that you probably don't eat sweets necessarily because you're hungry. Maybe if you're like really hungry and your blood sugar is really low, you might want to, that's like what you're craving in the moment. But then when you eat that, you feel horrible, right? So although your blood sugar is low, it's a natural response, like I said, for you to want to eat something quick with like a refined carbohydrate. But sometimes too, you might find yourself eating for emotional reasons. It might not just be that you are hungry. It's that you're hungry for comforting yourself, right? You're hungry for more understanding. You're hungry for an opportunity to connect with somebody at an emotional level. We can use it for comfort. We can use it as a habit. We can use it for coping or even as an escape. If you were never taught how to handle emotions or even recognize them as they come up, sometimes we just do it out of habit, as a knee-jerk reaction, and don't even know how we got there. So the easiest way to determine whether or not you're emotionally eating or eating for hunger is obviously understanding your body, right? So when you're physically hungry, almost anything sounds good, including healthy stuff like veggies and protein and fruit, things like that, right? But emotional hunger craves carby foods, junk foods, whether it's salty chips or sweet creamy ice cream or pastries, things like that, junk food and sugary snacks that provide an instant rush. However, you won't feel that great when you're done, right? You'll still have that negative emotion lingering. You never took care of it, but now you're just feeling either guilty or ashamed or and just physically unwell. And that's that moment, when you feel like you need a cheesecake or you need a slice of pizza, you need a donut, you need some chips, right? And nothing else will do. Understanding too that there's also um, the need, like I said before, for healthy relationships, connections with friends, with families, engaging in a hobby that makes you feel good, doing something that is fulfilling in your job or career, or even if you're a stay at home mom, that you have some sense of fulfillment, right? Or even hope for the day when you wake up for the day will allow you to feel like you don't need to supplement your life with sugar or carby foods when you're feeling emotional. So, emotional hunger is not love. Basically, emotional hunger is a feeling of a strong emotional need that usually brought about by deprivation in childhood. Growing up without love or affection as a child manifests itself as a strong need for emotional closeness as an adult. Some people have trouble making connections with others because of feeling disconnected from parents as a child, or even a fear of rejection, having a sense of a need to be perfect, perfectionism, high expectations of yourself and of other people in your life, constantly feeling like you're being let down, or maybe just having those naturally low levels of oxytocin, that love hormone, dopamine, that hormone that just makes you feel good and accomplished, and serotonin, that one that gives you joy and happiness and a drive. So maybe those are lower, and that you're looking for ways to bring those brain chemical hormones up with food, because connecting with other people or doing things for yourself to feel accomplished is very difficult or almost impossible. So you want to look at those factors as well. So emotional eating versus physical hunger. Okay, emotional eating. Let me tell you the difference between the two. This is how you can identify it. Honestly, though, before I even go into this, so we really do know the difference in our hearts. We don't really necessarily want to go to sugar or carby foods for comfort, but there's a big part of us that feels like we absolutely need to in that moment, right? Okay, emotional eating. Okay, emotional eating. Are you eating for comfort or out of loneliness or sadness? These are things that you can ask yourself either now outside of emotional eating, or you can ask yourself, kind of stop yourself before you go into a moment of emotional eating. Although when you are emotionally eating, it's kind of like a knee jerk. Sometimes it doesn't even resonate or, think about it until it's actually happening. So, but some things to ask yourself. Are you eating for comfort or out of loneliness or sadness? Are you bored? Are you trying to soothe anxious or depressed feelings? Are you trying to suppress an aching heart? Okay. It may be hard to determine if you're eating due to your emotions. However, you can determine it if you're actually, I guess it's very obvious if you're not physically hungry, or it's very obvious if you are physically hungry. Let me do it that way instead. So, some examples of physical hunger are your stomach growls and you feel a hollow sensation in your stomach. You feel weak or energy seems low and you kind of slow down. Blood sugar gets low and you may be feeling shaky. You might feel lightheadedness or dizzy and just a general energy decrease. So, all of us, most people, know what it feels like to be actually physically hungry, right? So, if you're not feeling those symptoms and you're wanting something to eat, you're most likely emotionally hungry. Or maybe your diet is just deficient in proper nutrients and really high in sugar and high in processed foods, and your body has an empty space that it's trying to fill with the nutrients from whole food that it actually needs. So that can be a factor as well when you're craving things outside of emotional. All right. So one thing I always think is very interesting is the concept of food and mood. So, oh, I was just realizing I didn't announce today's winner. I'll come back to that at the end. Okay. Um, okay. So with food and mood, it's really interesting because there are certain foods that you will choose based on the mood that you're feeling, so you can help to identify what emotions you're feeling. So some of us have very difficult time identifying our feelings and our emotions. But instead, what you can look at is the type of food that you're choosing. If you are emotionally eating and you're choosing something that's salty and crunchy, that is that crunch, that desire to crunch down on something is anger and frustration, sometimes even boredom. So boredom can also be anger. If you're feeling like you're grabbing something that's soft and creamy, sweet, more like pastries or ice cream, or even some people do like a warm cup of soup or that comfort food, that starchy, cheesy type food, that creamy, soft, warm, or cold is more like you're wanting a hug, you're needing affirmation, you need somebody to connect with and understand you. You're just wanting to feel comforted overall. So if you're grabbing one or the other, it'll give you a really good clue in to what exactly you're feeling and how to handle it, right? So we know, and I'm sure, that food doesn't fix it, right? There's something inside of you that needs more. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to combat that in just a bit. Sometimes you may be feeling fear or anxiety, but in this group, we're going to flip the script a little bit and we're going to change it and start leading with love, care, nurturing, and understanding, not going directly to punishment and anger because of how you ate or how you look because of the lifestyle that you're leading, right? So instead, just kind of get curious about your feelings, see what's going on with you, see, maybe you didn't realize that you responded in a certain way to things, and just kind of start get curious and track your feelings and responses to things, right? We can't, like we've heard before, you can't control the situation, but you do have a sense of control of how you respond to it, right? All right. So today, let's get to the root of emotional eating and explore ways to help you find freedom if this is something that you're struggling with at any level, right? Okay. So there's an emotional eating cycle, and I'll share a picture of this chart with you in the post. But emotional eating cycle starts with uncomfortable emotions. Okay. So at the top of this little, it's like a circular cycle, right? So it goes this way. So at the top of the cycle, it starts with uncomfortable emotions, right? So you have a feeling of uncomfortable emotions, whatever that happens to be. And then the next part here is you decide to soothe with food. And then the next part is then after you soothe with food, then you have punishment through restriction and shaming because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ate all that food. I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm feeling totally guilty. So now I'm going to restrict or say, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to eat until tomorrow because I'm so full. I feel so terrible. I can't, I got to reverse this somehow. Right. And then going up to, again, getting over hungry or being too restrictive with yourself. And the next time you have an opportunity, you end up binge eating again. Then you're going up again to that uncomfortable emotion. After binge eating, you're feeling uncomfortable what you did, soothe with food, punishment through restriction, binge eating, uncomfortable emotions. You just kind of keep going around and around. Okay, so how do you get out of this? All right, so you get out of this in a couple different ways. You think about all of these things that occur for you, kind of go back and think about what happens. How do I get from point A to point B with emotional eating? And tracking it, thinking ahead of time, and coming up with a game plan before you get there. And like again, getting curious about your feelings and what's actually happening for you specifically in that moment. That moment when you come home from work and you're exhausted and you're overly hungry and you're frustrated about the day, or you're anxious about the day, or you're angry at somebody at work, or something at home happened that really triggered you. You got off a phone call, you saw an email that really triggered you, and all of a sudden you're going to food. Right. So think about those things that trigger you. You might go to food and then you either hide away with the food, or you go out and go through a drive-through and get food, or you go out and go to your local supermarket or convenience store and get something. Or for some people, I used to go to a coffee shop and get sugary treats. So it depends on what it is. All right. So what you want to do is think about where this all begins for you. What's triggering for you? What emotions are you feeling? Then when you get to a place of uncomfortable emotions, then you're going to go to soothing with food. You want to get in sort of, instead of going to food, you want to address your uncomfortable emotions and see what you can do instead with those uncomfortable emotions and soothing it with food, right? Which makes sense, right? That's the idea, to not use food, right? Because as we know, the food isn't helping. It's what's inside of you that's going on that needs help, whether it's calling a friend, taking a warm bath, going for a walk, getting in a hard workout, somehow relieving, bringing it to God, bringing it in prayer. Like I said, connecting with a friend, just somehow acknowledging, first of all, how you're feeling, that you don't like how you feel, first of all, acknowledging it and then, owning it, what happened. Think of some possible solutions. I guess what I'm thinking really is getting into your logical mind and getting out of that emotional center. One of the things that I've done with my clients in the past that really helps them is, in order to get into your logic mind, is to just remove yourself from the food and just go organize something. Force yourself to just walk away, go organize something, whether it's your purse or your car or, a cabinet, closet, drawer, whatever it is, go and organize something. It'll get you into that logic headspace, out of the emotional headspace, so that you can think clearly. Even just writing down how you're feeling can get you into that space. And it sounds funny, but doing math, looking around you and being mindful, and different colors of what's around you is really helpful to get into that logic mind. Okay, so that you can think more clearly. Even just, walking away, going out of the house, going out of the area where food is, and giving yourself a half an hour away to think, to contemplate, to exercise, whatever you're going to do. Sometimes I just like to run up and down stairs, punch into a pillow, right, to release that negative emotion, that stress. The idea too is to get your what's it called? Can't think of your hormone. Your hormone levels back, your stress hormone levels back down, so that way you're feeling more calm. Naturally, biologically, it'll take half an hour or so. So doing things to walk away is going to help to calm your body down a little bit. All right. So in order to get out of it, know ahead of time, identify what are your common triggers. And then once you know your common triggers, think of ways that you can soothe or comfort yourself. Maybe you just need to cozy up in your bed and comfort yourself physically, right? Maybe you need to pet your animal. Maybe you need to get a hug from somebody. Just get that oxytocin up, that love hormone up, to combat any fear that you're having, any anxiety that you're having. Really, really helps. So I hope that helps. Those are the tips that I give my clients in my private practice who have struggled with emotional eating, and has really helped them in the past. So if you're struggling, this is something that can help you. So there's other cycles that contribute to sugar addiction. Sugar addiction, there's not really an addiction, but it feels like your sugar habit or your sugar cravings. There's the sugar craving cycle, there's a shame guilt cycle, and just knowing the difference. So shame is saying that you are wrong. So when you tell yourself, I am wrong, or I am a wrong person, that's shame. It's very personal. And then guilt is that you did something wrong. That's where you did an action, but it doesn't define who you are. It's just something that you did. So shame and guilt are very different. There's a shame guilt cycle, and then chronic dieting, or food restriction and fear. So when you're chronically dieting, always going from one diet to the next, trying to find the next best thing, and you're restricting, and then there's usually fear involved because of losing either what you have gained with your weight loss program, or just losing a sense of self, because if you gain weight, you don't know who you are, because it's a big part of your identity. So just some things to think about. Okay, we better finish up here. So as I finish up, I just want to share with you this last principle, HALT. It's an acronym, HALT. And these are it's an acronym for common triggers for sugar cravings or for emotional eating. So the first one, H, hungry, too hungry. A, angry, if you're just feeling really angry. L, lonely, very lonely. And T, tired, feeling very tired. So those are a way that you can start to identify your feelings or your triggers that bring you into emotional eating. So kind of think about, am I usually really hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? When you're feeling that way, or when you're feeling like you want to grab something to eat, ask yourself, halt. Tell yourself, halt. Stop and think. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Once you identify that emotion, then you're going to think of ways that you can actually help yourself. If you're really hungry, sit down and eat mindfully. Think about what really sounds good right now. Maybe grab a couple snacks while you make dinner. But just know that you're just really hungry, and it's okay to feel really hungry. But starting out, you're eating with some protein, with something, some healthy fat. I like to grab, if I'm really hungry, I like to grab a tablespoon of peanut butter, unsweetened peanut butter, and just kind of munch on that to stave off my hunger. Eating a fat is really going to slow down your hunger. So if you're feeling really hungry, grab a healthy fat, half of an avocado, a tablespoon of peanut butter, a handful of nuts or two to stave off your hunger if you're feeling that way. Okay, if you're feeling angry, you can punch into a pillow, go exercise really hard. Just let that energy out. If you're feeling lonely, find a way to connect with somebody, talk with somebody, spend time in prayer. Know that you're not alone. Open your Bible and read some scripture, and the Lord's going to show you his comforting self, right? If you're feeling really tired, get some rest. Give yourself permission to get some rest, that knowing it's okay. In our busy culture, sometimes it's really easy to tell yourself, oh, I just need to keep moving or keep going. But just give yourself permission to rest if you need rest. It's okay. Even watching a funny movie, finding something funny, some silly Jim Carrey movie or episode of Saturday Night Live, or whatever makes you laugh, find something like that too. It will really, really help. Laughter really is medicine. All right, so I think that was it. Okay, so the other thing too, before we finish, check to see where you're at in your menstrual cycle, if you still have a cycle, or even if you don't. If your progesterone levels are up, you're going to want to crave more carbs. But if you are, make sure to get in extra magnesium glycinate and what else? Multivitamin B during that time. Also, make sure to get in lots of healthy carbs, because that's actually what progesterone's wanting. Although it's easy to want to go to sugary processed food treats, go to healthy carb options and extra magnesium and water when your progesterone levels are high. Okay. All right, day 2 assignment. So I would like you to share that you have committed to taking sugar and alcohol out of your diet for the next 5 days, and why it's essential to you. Why is it so important to you? And what is it that you expect to accomplish by the end of these 5 days together? Okay, so share that you're committed. Let us know that you're committed to taking out sugar and alcohol and all the other foods I described this week. And why is it essential to you? Why is it so important for you specifically? And what do you expect to accomplish? What vision do you have for yourself? What is your goal for this week as we move ahead and get to Friday? So what is your goal for this week, or for the 21 days, if you want to do that with us? What is your goal? What do you really need for yourself at this time? Okay. Once you have done that, tag me in the post, comment with the answers to the question I just asked you for homework. Make sure to tag me in the post so that way I can see that you did it. Otherwise, I can't put you in. And let's see, today and the rest of the week, just really begin to be more mindful. Check in with yourself, check in with your feelings, notice what emotions come up when you're eating. Really be mindful with your food, sit with your food, sit and eat as much as possible. Really focus on getting in those proteins and healthy fats this week. And then feel free to journal and contemplate what you're doing this week and how you're feeling throughout the week. It'll really be helpful for you. Okay, so scripture for the day, a call to endurance. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off every encumbrance and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with endurance the race set out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Considered him who endured such hostility from sinners, that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Hebrews 12, 1-3, NIV. Okay, so I didn't announce, an affirmation, one more affirmation. So affirmation for today is, food is not my master, and I can refuse it. I choose to refuse it because I am a conqueror. I'm a conqueror, and taking the best care of the body that God created for me is worth caring for. So food is not my master. I can refuse it. I choose to refuse it because I am a conqueror. And I choose to take the best care of the body that God created for me, and it is worth caring for. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's our affirmation for today. And then this week's winner, day one winner is Stephanie. Stephanie, have your last name on the tip of my tongue. I'll get it just a minute. Anyway, this week's winner is Stephanie. Let me see. I have it on my Facebook here. Anyway, Stephanie, you know who you are. So congratulations. So let me know if you'd like to choose between a book, Etsy store coupon, or 25% off any of my courses or programs. So I will message you in Messenger. And Stephanie Russell, is it coming to me? Let me make sure. Let's see. Yes, Stephanie Russell. I knew I had it, right? So Stephanie Russell, congratulations. Let me know which of those you want. I will message you in Messenger and get those details from you and send it over. All right, so make sure to do your homework today. If you didn't do yesterday's homework yet, go ahead and do that and post it on the day one post. And if you haven't registered yet, make sure to register. And I will see you all tomorrow for day 3. Tomorrow we'll be talking about what to add and what to eliminate and the significance behind the details of all of that. All right, I'll talk to you soon.